Welcome to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Kill zone. Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone.
There's a silence screaming in the dark. Footsteps echoing, I fall apart. Eyes behind me, I can feel the weight.
Say my name, feel that flame.
Welcome to the kill zone. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Kill zone. Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Welcome to the kill zone. Kill zone. Kill zone.
You could ask for, and all the pressure is on the line for 4 drivers here this evening. We've got 15 spots based off of points and 1 wildcard spot. It could be a win and you're in, or it could be based off points if no one's got a win in between that 16th position and 25th. A lot of numbers to calculate, but most of all, it's just a win and you're in scenario for some. We already know our regular season champion, that goes to Jake Nichols, but the other decision is who are going to be the 16 that race for championship. for season 12. Let's find out who those 16 drivers could be. Starting off with saying thank you for joining with us here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me this evening is Richard Wolsifer. And Richard, it's been a lot of top dominant drivers that have kind of solidified themselves to be already locked in to race for a championship, but those win you're in scenarios, this is going to be a fun watch to see on if some of the drivers can clutch up. We got Ben Keeney, Brian Noel, Brian P. Johnson, and the driver who enters in 16th in points, Jan Van Leer, that's trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you got a lot of drivers sitting here trying to make the playoffs. They are so close, and it's coming down to this. The Talladega Race 2.66 mile super speedway oval. A lot of high speed, and it's the big one you got to worry about because anything can happen when it comes to super speedway racing. I know one driver I was talking to prior to we going live was Ben Keeney. He said this is the closest he's ever been to being in contention for the playoff, and he is looking for a strong run tonight to try and squeak his way in.
He enters in technically 18th in points, but with Shane Terrian not being here, it would move him up to 17th. He's just one position out. He's in a must-win scenario to make it into the playoffs, and we'll see if that 98 machine has the speed to get it done, as he was one of the fastest drivers during practice. He was the fastest driver during practice. Tonight, figuring out how to find that quick pace in the draft. But now it's time to find the quick pace by yourself, as we've got qualifying underway, as real life NASCAR is under qualifying conditions to see who's going to make the Daytona 500. We'll see who's going to be starting up front here for Talladega of the regular season finale. All drivers have 2 laps to put down their fastest time, and they've got 5 minutes to do so. You hit the wall, you touch the grass, that will scrub and invalidate your lap times, but getting close to that outside wall in the first lap is going to be the key thing to watch out for.
Yeah, the qualifying lap starting up front is probably going to be your safest bet. A lot of these drivers are aiming to try to get that pole position or the second position, outside pole, outside front row, because that's going to be generally your safest spot on the track, being in the front. Being in the middle of the field, that's where a lot of the issues tend to occur, and staying out of that area is going to be your best chance of keeping your car clean. But these drivers doing everything they can, got to stay off the wall, riding along with our defending champion Gavin Rogers, still searching for his first win this season. This car has not really benefited Gavin in what we saw him do last season, so he's still looking for his first win, as well as he's trying to build up speed to get his momentum built up on the first lap to try and see if he can score the pole tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin's had a really bizarre season for being a champion last season. I know the change of the car really was the factor that took away his chances of trying to go back-to-back for championship. It's going to be a rough playoffs for this one machine, as he's still trying to find that victory for himself. But, the big thing that he can do entering into tonight, he's had 7 top 10s. The only problem, no top 5s. So that's got to be a monkey who's got to get off his back before he gets into the chase.
Yeah, that's definitely a monkey he's looking to get off his back. And no top 5s is also very uncharacteristic for Gavin. I mean, even on the road courses they've raced so far this season, he just hasn't been able to perform like we've usually seen him do. So he's hoping for a good night tonight, and he's going to be working with teammates like Ben Keeney and try to get his way to the front.
Teammates, allies, it's a smaller field than what we've seen before. Only 18 drivers officially have registered for this race, and with the amount of bonus points that are out there on the line, really a lot of the drivers are solidified on where they're at in points. It's just going to come down to that wild card position, who's going to get the 16 in that final spot to race for the chase. As fastest driver currently after the first laps are done is Chuck Sweeting in the 57. We had a really fun watching the 57 try to grab his first top 5 of the season last week at Rockingham. Ultimately didn't get the job done, but certainly it was fun a watch to see the drivers battling back and forth, and that's been the fun thing of us switching to this legacy Gen 4 machine. It was the big change entering into 2026 that the WSSR admins decided to make. Is Ryan McCann still top of the board. Other drivers trying to beat the 51.805, the fastest time currently but the change of the car has really elevated the speed. Drivers are having a lot more fun. Even heard during practice, they are excited for the racing action we're going to see here this evening. There's a lot of big runs, a lot of movement. We're going to see some side-by-side racing and not just single file like it was to start the season off.
Yeah, I think this car will actually bring us some 2x2 racing for quite a bit of this race. I mean, a lot of the drivers they were talking about the new 2003 Gen 4 that came out recently is like every time you stepped out of line to try to make a pass, it's just like they threw a parachute outside the car and it just lost all momentum. This car, the Legacy Gen 4, the accidental creation that iRacing created, is just a lot better when it comes to the super speedway field. The downside is there's not going to be a lot of bump drafting because of the wedge that the front end produces and how high that rear end is. You can't really bump someone because you're just going to lift up that rear end and send them spinning down to the inside or outside.
Well, you know, the last time that we ran this vehicle at Talladega, it gave us the closest finish in Freaky Fast history, as it was identical times crossing the line between Ben Nelson and Cody Reed back in season 7. We'll see if there's a little bit more magic that this machine can bring for us. Still Brian McCann, top of the board, 51.805, going to stand, and it's his teammate from going to be the Cody Glenn Cox music team. That's going to be Brian McCann, Ryan Kelly, 1-2 to start out here tonight. But we have still a warm-up, 5-minute warm-up period for drivers to get any last bit of practice in, as well gives us time to take a deeper look of how the season's been so far for season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series. I mean, let's start things off with what's most important. Points. Here they are entering into tonight. Top 15 in points automatically have a berth into the chase if you are inside that top 15. The only position that is a wild card spot is 16th place. If you have a win and you're outside of the top 16, you take that 16th position away and you can bounce Jan van Leer out of the chase. But if we had any other drivers that had a win and there was a tie, then it'd be based off your points position. Currently, all drivers that are outside of the 16th down to 25th, 0 wins. So it is a wide open race. Anyone that's in the top 25 from 16th to 25th, they've got a chance to win and you're in, and you've got a playoff berth.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of our excitement's going to be tonight, is these drivers trying to get up there and get this win so they can score their way into the playoffs. That's the best way. I mean, a lot of these drivers are in a must-win situation. They have too many points separating from them to the 16th position. Every single one of those drivers in the must-win situation, they're going to be doing everything they can, driving as aggressively as they can to get up front and stay there to take that checkered flag first.
And there's 3 drivers that have decided to still race, even with the car change, with all the ups and downs, knowing that this was the race that would give them a chance to race for the chase. Those 3 drivers, Ben Keeney in the 98 machine, the 00 Brian Noel, and Brian P. Johnson. They're the outside looking in that must get the win here tonight to race in the chase. The one driver that's in the positive, that is just, I need a good run, a win solidifies me, is the 10 of Jan van Leer. As let's see how we've got to this point through the schedule, because this has been an up and down type of a season, but it's been a lot of just different types of racing. We've had a couple of road course races. I mean, we had Mexico City a few weeks ago, first time getting to see the drivers handle with this Legacy Gen 4 car on a brand new track. But we're heading to more of traditional ovals after tonight. The chase, there are some fun tracks in front of us, and I know our points leader, Jake Nichols, he's ultimately excited for the season and the schedule ahead of us.
Yeah, Jake Nichols just dominating performance all season. We keep talking about him, keep talking about his performance and what he has done here. I mean, you see his name all over that race winner column throughout the season. And I mean, I think a majority of those tracks coming up, especially like, Texas, Charlotte, Homestead, I think those 3 are going to be the ones where he can just pick up and walk away and really solidify his name on that championship trophy. But again, new car, anything can really happen. We'll have to see what drivers can adapt a lot quicker and see if they can challenge him. We've seen it before. Brian McCann making a legitimate pass a few weeks ago on Jake Nichols. So, I mean, it's very possible. It's just these drivers have got to do everything they can to put the practice in to challenge him when it comes to these final 6 races.
Yeah, and when we made the change to this Legacy Gen 4 car, we've had 3 different winners over 3 races. It was Brian McCann taking the win at Indianapolis. Mexico City was Vincent Sora, and then Jake Nichols proving that he can win in this vehicle last week at Rockingham. But I would say Brian McCann has been the driver that's been the most consistent with the transition of vehicles. He's grabbed his now 3rd pole with the pole here tonight, but he got the pole last week at Rockingham. He was the fastest at Indy. The 8 machine, I think, is the biggest threat of all drivers going into this playoffs, even with Jake Nichols having his 6 wins. McCann's the driver that I see the most consistent out of.
Yeah, Brian McCann has definitely been one of the most consistent of these top 5 drivers in the series. I mean, you did have Vincent Sora, who was extremely fast there at Mexico City, overtaking Jake Nichols and winning the race overall. But I mean, yeah, Brian McCann, he has been there almost every single late race, within a striking position to potentially pass Jake Nichols, or even, gaining ground and challenging him. So, I mean, Brian McCann, he's definitely proven this is the car that he wants to race and try to win this championship in, and we'll have to see if he can get it done.
Kind of get going a little bit late into this one. We also have our pick'ems, who are drivers to watch out for here tonight. I'm going to go with the driver that has won the most super speedways recently, but also has won the last 2 races of the regular season. It's Jarrett Talmadge. He's been the driver that's been on fire, that when you come to a super speedway, if he can find a way to be up front, he was my pick to watch out for. Watch out for that 27 machine. I'm not surprised by this, but Richard, Gavin Rogers, your pick to watch out for.
I did. I had to select my boy Gavin Rogers. I mean, if there is a track that he can get it done, this is going to be that track. It's a very even kind of racing here. It's all about the draft and making the moves at the right spot. So I think Gavin, like I said, he's been having an issue with this car ever since the start, but I think this is the time he can get it done.
Then our 3rd member of our crew, that will be Robert Moyer Jr. Currently, it's Chris Stitz, and he's going to tell me in my ear if this is his actual pick, because I know before he wasn't sure. He was kind of thinking, I'm just going to pick the whole entire field, and there we go. It's cycling through. Robert Moyer Jr. can't make a pick. He's going to select everybody for us tonight, as it's Super Speedway Racing. Richard, it's the most known thing of NASCAR-style racing. When you come to a super speedway, everyone has a chance to win. As we take a look at our starting grid here tonight, sponsored by Lucky Duck Motorsports. Lucky Duck Motorsports, a great racing team to be a part of if you want to be finding a great community to race with, as well as have rewards to race for. They've got money races based off of your results and how you perform. They've been making long-lasting connections throughout the iRacing community, and they love also being a part of the WSSR series and league, but their most favorited thing to be proudful of is the ways that they connect with different charities. You're going to see a lot of the Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers out on track like they've done all season long, showing off different charities connected with Tiltify. Go check them out on Lucky Ducks at X at We Are Lucky Ducks, as well as on Instagram at Lucky Duck Motorsports. Thank you so much for being our grid sponsor here tonight. As taking the pole up front, the drivers that looked very strong, that dominated Daytona, it's the Cody Glencock's music team, Brian McCann, and going to be Ryan Kelly. Then in 3rd, driver who's looking for a good run going into the chase, that's going to be Chuck Sweetie in the 57. Chris Stitz in the 17 will be in 4th, with Cedric Hunter starting in 5th. 6th, he's going to be the 25 machine, last driver to win in this car in track combo. Can he find some more magic? Let's find out for the 6th machine with John Force. The numbers are lining up. 7 is starting in 7th, and behind him is Jake Nichols, your regular season champion. Congratulations to that 73 team. Number 1 of Gavin Rogers will start in 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 31 of Thomas Green.
Brian Noel will be starting out in the 11th position, the 00 car, with Ali Fonseca outside in his 24 car. Zach Hall starting back in the 13th position with Ben Keeney to his outside. Starting back in 15th will be Jarrett Talmadge and Larry Yingling starting to his outside in the 16th position. And to round out the field, Jan Van Leer and Brian P. Johnson. Jan Van Leer looking to secure and make sure he just has a clean race to make sure he's in the playoffs next week.
He's just got to make sure that Ben Caney, Ryan Noel, and Brian P. Johnson, those three drivers, as long as they don't win, Jan Van Leer should be moving on to the chase because there's not enough drivers that showed up. There's not enough bonus points. Jan just needs to survive and hope those three drivers don't win. We also want to say thank you to our title sponsor of Elwood Designs. Go check out Elwood Designs at your simrapmarket.com at Alan Elwood, as well as take a look at Elwood Designs. They've been around since 2012, helping iRacers have the best schemes out on iRacing. And head over to Simrap Market and look up Alan Elwood to see some bases that you can start your schemes off and create your own schemes out there on iRacing. Thanks so much to also you, the viewers. It's been a up and down roller coaster of a season, seeing Jake Nichols dominate early on. We've transitioned over to a different vehicle, but ultimately it's down to this: you're in or you're out. Who's making the chase is the ultimate question. And it all finishes after tonight's race is done. We'll figure out the 16 drivers that will try to hunt for the Season 12 championship of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Up front, it's the teammates, Brian McCann, Ryan Kelly. They get ready for 90 laps here at Talladega as they roar up and go as they head across the line. This race is green. The regular season finale is underway as we head into turn number 1. And Richard, it's already clean side by side, but the drivers on the inside look to be good for now. But you know what? Coming out of turn number 2, that's the run you're waiting for from the 3 machine.
Yeah, the outside line, they might not have the kickoff speed the inside has because they've got the shortest way around the track, but you'll see it right there. The number 3, Ryan Kelly, a lot more momentum. The outside line always has that momentum right off the get-go, and that's what you're seeing right here. Ryan Kelly leading that outside line of those 4 drivers. Ollie Fonseca trying to catch up. John Forbes moving up to that outside line as they have the momentum, and it looks like it's a potential Ryan Kelly leading lap 1.
As Ryan Kelly on the outside, the 3 machine just trying to hit his marks and continue moving forward. We've seen so many ways that you can win at Talladega. It could be the big one. It could be staying side by side. But for the first time in Season 12, we're 3 wide. And it's not just a train going around this circuit. They are really trying to make things work as the 3 machine now going to be faltering back to Chris Stitz, trying to pull up that 17 to be up front. But it's going to be seen. Jake Nichols doesn't want to waste any more time as Cody Reed as well power their way through the middle groove. It's the 25 up front, the driver who loves to be aggressive and up front at all times. Cody Reed back to his favorite spot as he's running the same scheme that he won back in Season 7. He's hoping to do the same here at Season 12.
Yeah, Cody Reed's really good and really aggressive at these super speedways. We like seeing him up front. He likes to get up there as quick as he can. And you saw the aggressiveness of him making that 3-wide move on Ryan Kelly, which catapulted him to the front. But again, that middle line now, not the outside line, the middle line led by Jake Nichols had the run, but that inside line has a little bit more speed. Cody Reed gets the nose out front just a little bit, but Jake Nichols, again, that hard charge outside line, the momentum down the backstretch. But Ryan Kelly getting a push from Chris Stitz. He's trying to come back up as he's on the outside making it 3 wide.
Trying to make the power move. Zach Hall, fastest lap that last go around. I know we're in just 2 laps in. At 32, already trying to show signs of can I get up front as quickly as possible. Here at Talladega, if you look at the past, we've had 1 race go caution free. And with this small field, it is a likelihood that we would have a minimum amount of cautions here tonight. There's also been 2 races in the past that have only had 1 caution. That was last season and Season 1. And then Season 7 and 9 was the most cautions with 5 and 7. Let's see if these drivers, I know we're going 3 wide, but as you can see on screen, there's plenty of room to stay 3 wide and be pretty comfortable with where you're running.
Yeah, that's the thing about Talladega is it not only the largest oval that NASCAR goes to, but it is also one of the widest. 3 wide racing at Talladega is a normal sight. You see it at Daytona, and it's a sketchy time because it is very tight racing. but you can see there is another lane there that you could fit 4 wide if you really wanted to be froggy, but three wide racing here at Talladega, that is a normal sight, and we will see that pretty much majority of this night.
There's a couple of drivers moving up to the third lane. Ollie Fonseca, Ben Kinney, both just using all the space to see which lane they feel like is going to move forward the best, but it's just a wall of drivers that are staying side by side, and it's the middle as well as the outside lane that move forward. Ryan McCann, Ryan Kelly, they are making some moves as Jake Nichols right on the back bumper of that 8 machine in the middle and just making this machine work. And this is exactly what we were expecting to see back at Daytona to start the season off. I know iRacing made some updates to the current version of the Gen 4 car, but with us transitioning over to the vehicle you see on screen, the Legacy Gen 4 3 weeks ago, this is fantastic racing. Already seeing quite a bit of movement, and some of the bigger movers is Cody Reed and Jake Nichols up 4 spots as Cody Reed, Nichols up 5 from the start of this race from where they qualified.
Yeah, this is definitely a breath of fresh air with this car switch over to the Legacy Gen 4 because, I mean, we were at Daytona at the start of the season. I mean, you can see that it was just like they tried to get in a line as quick as they possibly could, and that was pretty much it. Here you see them. They are still 3 wide as we are 6 laps into this race, and they are not looking to get single file anytime soon. I mean, for 18 cars on the track, everyone is trying to make every move and jostle around, trying to get to the front as quick as they can. Like Ben Keeney, he is sitting there. He is now in the middle lane doing everything he can to get up front in his must-win situation tonight.
As Brian P. Johnson, who rolls back 18th currently, he started there, he stays there, fastest lap as he's able to just go full throttle following this crew. But here's a sense of what it's like to be in the middle of the pack. Right in the dead center is Ben Keeney, one of the 3 drivers that's in a must-win scenario. This 98, as well as the 00 of Brian Noel, who runs in 4th position. The second car on the inside, as well as the 28 of Brian P. Johnson. Those 3 drivers must win if they want to race for the chase. But currently, it's Ben who's the driver of what are we going to see here tonight? Is it early aggression he wants to go for, or late aggression? Because we also know pit stops is going to probably be the key factor of this evening.
Yeah, pit stops are definitely going to be a big factor. And Brian Kelly, oh my gosh, we had a huge blink from Ryan Kelly there. He disappeared for a good 2 or 3 seconds, but he's back. And the downside about blinking here at super speedways is the people that are following you completely lose the draft because you were literally not there. So that outside line now lose all the steam that they have. They're going to have to fall in line to get into the draft. But I agree. The fuel mileage is going to be a very interesting thing to watch. Pit stops is where this race can be won or lost tonight.
And I was just given word right before we went live, pit window 40 to 45 laps. That's putting this group of drivers in a spot where on this run at some point you need to find a way to save fuel to make sure you've got enough to turn this race into a one stop if we stay green all the way through.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which drivers try to push it all the way to the end. I mean, you have drivers that are leading their lines right now. They're not going to be able to do that full 45-lap stretch. But, I mean, if they want to try, they can try. And Brian McCann is going to pull out of line here. I don't know if he got hot or if he's going to try and come back and, you know, save from fuel. He might be listening to us because he knows the strategy. So he's going to fall back, get in line. He's going to try to save some fuel and try to make that 45-lap mark so he can make it a one-stop race instead of 2.
Well, if you were curious on what the Lucky Duck Motorsports driver colors look like, well, they're leading all 3 rows. Inside is going to be the 7 of John Forbes, the 00 of Brian Noel, Jake Nichols leading the middle, and on the outside, it's the 1 of Gavin Rogers and the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge, as well as the 98 of Ben Keeney. All Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers, all the thick of things up front. The only 2 that are not a part of the Lucky Duck Motorsports is going to be Ollie Fonseca in the 24 and the 25 of Cody Reed. Everyone else inside of our top 8 are Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers.
Yeah, that is impressive to see, and that is just pure teamwork from those guys. All of them working together as a team, as one unit. Trying to control this race, it was what it looks like. The downside is you have 2 of the Lucky Duck drivers that are trying to fight their way into the playoffs. That's going to be their 00 Brian Noel and the 98 of Ben Keeney. So it's going to be interesting to see who they prioritize of trying to get into that final playoff position.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the thing for Lucky Duck Motorsports is we saw back just a season ago here at Talladega, they threw it all away. Tanner Bethea, who was a part-timer for Lucky Duck Motorsports, could have helped Drew Jewett get a win that could have pushed him into the next round of the playoffs. Ultimately, went for a pass instead and hurt both drivers from winning that race. And ultimately, it was Jarrett Tallmadge that took the victory last season. I'm curious on if maybe they talked about as a team of let's do a little bit better of helping who needs the win or not.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, who they decide to help on doing that, or even if they try and help them do that. Because I mean, as a team, you would think you would try to help your teammate try to get into the playoffs, but you see the front five there starting to pull away. They got into a single file line there, which helped them pull away a little bit. But Cody Reed is like, I'm not having any of that. I want to be up front and lead this race, and he's trying to challenge again with Ali Fonseca to get back up front.
Trying to find your openings, trying to take off and go, but all 18 drivers, 12 laps in, still connected in the draft. All 18 drivers within a second and a half of one another, just showing how the draft can just keep everyone so close and compact with each other. Once again, thank you to everyone that's joining with us here tonight. If you're just joining in, this is the final race of the regular season to see who will be the 16 drivers racing in the chase, which starts next week at New Hampshire. That is going to be a very tough start to the chase because we're going to that mile track, the flat New Hampshire surface. That is going to be a handful, especially with how much torque is in these machines and how loose we've seen them be the last few weeks. I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, next week's going to be a really exciting race. Very flat 1 mile track at New Hampshire. And I can tell you now, if Douglas Newbigging shows up next week for that race, I guarantee you we'll see him, if not just him, but a few other drivers using that apron to get around that track, because that's kind of like an MO for Douglas for himself. So Ben Keeney up there into the wall on the outside. He's going to lose a lot of momentum to that front group. He's got to try to recover and try to get back up there and get into a draft.
A little bit of a scrub, and you're hoping that it's just that, a little bit of a scrub. There's no aerodynamic damage. Grab will lose a little bit of draft on the outer group, but still is connected to the group. And looking at the last couple of laps, no one's really pushing the limit on speed. Everyone's been running about a half a second slower than their fastest times, taking it easy, just trying to hold steady. But Ben Gainey, you better stay away from that outside wall. You're one of the 3 drivers that needs a win. And if Ben or if the 00 Brian Noel find their race being ruined and they're out of the race, I mean, that makes things a lot easier for Lucky Ducks to focus on who they need to see in the victory lane. As Jake Nichols leads this race, Cody Reed, Ali Fonseca, middle groove. That is where they've been staying for the 24 and 25. They have been just trying their best to hold steady as Cody Reed drops low to give some fresh air to that 24 machine of Ali Fonseca.
He's going to give a little bit of fresh air for Fonseca himself to cool that motor down, but it's also going to give him the lower part of the track, which is the quickest and shortest way around the track. That'll help save a little bit of fuel. I mean, when it comes to a fuel game, every opportunity you can to save some fuel, whether it's getting in the draft or even just getting to the bottom of the track, you're saving, little bit of fuel, and it adds up over a long run. So it could be part of the reason why he's down there, to help control this lane, control the front, but also save just a little bit of fuel and try to make it as far as he can.
Save the fuel as best as you can. I'm curious if we can hop on board with the 27. That's in 8th place, Jarrett Tallmadge. Get her right along with the 27 because he has been right on the back bumper of Kevin Rogers. He's been trying to get him rolling, and this is exactly what the drivers see for themselves. I mean, Richard, this is a tough view. You got drivers to your left. You're trying to get as close as you can to the driver ahead of you, as well as looking at that tachometers in front of you and trying to make sure you're not blowing up your engine.
Yeah, you got to pay attention to those the temperatures on your gauge. I mean, it's a delicate balance when you're pushing someone. You can't just lock up to their bumper and stay there the entire time, because that engine's getting no fresh air. That fresh air, out in front, it helps keep that motor cool. You heat that motor up too much, you're going to have a big puff of smoke and you're going to be out of the race. So it's a delicate balance of pushing and getting a little bit of fresh air, backing off, or even just, trying to get up front and lead for a while and let someone else be the pusher.
as we were watching and running on board with the 27 here of Jarrett Talmadge, again, trying to find a way to win here tonight. And if we see the 27 win, it could be the first driver to have multiple wins here at Talladega. This track has never seen someone win here twice before. We ran here a total of 7 times in the past and have 7 different winners. Be cool to see if the 27 drivers that have a chance. Cody Reed, winner of season 7. Zach Hall, who was actually a part of the 3-wide finish of season 7, but he won in season 6. And those are going to be your only 3 drivers with a chance to try to get their second Talladega win. Also a fun note for Jarrett Talmadge, he is the only driver coming to the end of the regular season race that actually locked himself into the playoffs with winning that last race of the regular season. He entered in to last season being the driver that was in a spot where he needed to get the win as he was tied with a chance to go into the playoffs and got it done. We'll see if tonight someone else can join him in that class. So you win and you're in. Or will we see someone who was already solidified get the win done and do what's been happening for most of the WSSR Cup Series?
Yeah, we'll have to see what driver can do what Jarrett Talmadge did last season. But Jarrett Talmadge, he is definitely not in that situation this season at all. He is currently 5th in points. He is well locked into the playoffs himself. I mean, he's had a phenomenal season himself. 8 top 5s and 10 top 10s under his belt. So Jarrett Talmadge has had a heck of a season for himself, and he's glad to not be in that position where he has to win to lock himself in.
Yeah, most of this 27's wins have been at the Super Speedway track, so we'll see if he can put another one for himself. Another driver who's been very strong at the Super Speedways, leading the inside row. That's the 25 of Cody Reed, in a spot where he's been a lot of times come to this track where it's just show up and have fun. And when we see Cody Reed driving loose, knowing that he's got a chance to kind of shake things up, he's not running to make the playoffs, but just running to have a good time. This 25 usually puts on a fantastic show, as currently leading the inside groove, but starting to lose help as the next driver that's going to be close enough to him is the 7 of John Forbes, just 2-3 car lengths back in the 25. Falters, and it's the top 4 that are moving forward.
Top 4 able to get that outside lanes moving again as the 25 faltered ever so slightly, so he's going to be in the back. But again, this allows him to save some fuel, not a big deal. But Gavin Rogers, he is up front, the #1 machine leading this pack. That has got to feel good for Gavin Rogers. Sally Fonseca is going to look to his outside and try to take this lap away from him.
Wants to lead this lap is the 24, and with momentum on the outside, Groove will do so. Ali Fonseca, another driver who's just running out there to have some fun for himself. The 24 has been trying to find a little bit more sneaky speed. He's been doing top 10 runs the majority of the time this season. Enters this evening 11th in points, already solidified for the chase. And we'll see how Ali Fonseca competes heading into New Hampshire, as Jarrett Talmadge and also Ben Keeney having a little bit of almost a bump heading into turn 3. And Yate loses his drafting partner and will fall back in line in the middle of the groove. You know, the one thing that we really haven't touched on is the fact of bump drafting with this Legacy Gen 4 car, and the fact that if you hit someone too hard, you could be scooping up the driver in front of you if you're not careful. These drivers have to be on complete focus mode at all times here tonight.
Yeah, I know when I raced the last time we had these cars also back in season, I believe it was season 7, I kind of experienced that going into the pits, actually. I went in a little bit too hot and kind of lifted the rear end up of Christopher Norris going into the pits. So yeah, you don't want to hit the drivers or the other cars too hard because of the way that these the front bumpers and the rear bumpers kind of line up. I mean, you can do a little bitty tap, but it can't be a hard hit because, like I said, it's going to lift that rear end up and it's going to cause a wreck.
Drivers up front trying to get into their comfort zone. The rest of the field taking it easy, and I mean easy. The field in total are running a full second slower than their fastest laps they put down. I think everyone's been recognizing fuel is the key. We got to save a little bit before we start taking off and going, as pit stops expected to be at the halfway point of this race around lap 44 to 45. Sonic's trying to get to 46 if possible. And that's going to be the fun, I think, really run in this run is who has saved enough fuel to turn this race into a one-stop, or are you going to run out with a lap to go?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who's actually been saving fuel properly and who's been saving either too much or not enough. So, I mean, it can easily be turned into a one-stop race for the majority of these drivers, but you know, you got to pay attention to those fuel numbers. You got to pay attention to how you're going to save fuel. And leading the packs is not a way of saving fuel. So those that have been leading for quite a while, they might not be able to make it as far as the guys that have been kind of sitting in the back and chilling. So it's going to be interesting to see when the pit stops come up around lap 40 to 45.
As the field gets up to full speed, you have seen these drivers hit 200 miles per hour on entry into turn 3. This go around up to 202 miles per hour for Ali Fonseca on the outside. These drivers are flying around here at Talladega, the 2.66 mile course. On the front straightaway, when they go around the tri-oval, they're going at 16.5 degrees banking. A little bit of help when they're going down the front stretch. Then they flatten out just 2 degrees, and then they go climbing up to 33 degrees of banking in the corners. And that tilting action that the drivers feel is so bizarre when you're racing. You really don't feel it as crazy when you're driving, but in person, these tracks are monstrous when you see the degrees of banking that they're having through the corners.
Yeah, it is actually really insane. If you ever have a chance to go to a race at Daytona, Talladega specifically, those two, I mean, just going to the track, watching the race in person is just insane. Feeling the power of the cars, just the hearing them, seeing how fast they're going, and yeah, the banking. Like I said, driving an iRacing, you don't really notice it as much. It's just kind of natural for the drivers, but seeing it in person, standing there down on the track and then looking at the curves, it's like these bankings are massive, and it is hard walking up these bankings on barefoot as well.
I mean, it's hard when these drivers come to a complete stop and try to just drive straight up the corners. They stall out at certain spots. So the field in certain situations, if they're coming to the big one, always got to be careful to get going safely, as seeing majority of the field get in line. And it is a conga line to save fuel. No one's really putting the pressure from about 7th on back. Top 6 still side by side and having their fun, which I'm not surprised. You look at these drivers that are in the top 7, in the top 6, majority of them are drivers that if they are given the green light, they will race up front and be aggressive. All of Fonseca, Cody Reed, Gavin Rogers, Chris Stitz, and of course, John Forbes in the 7. They've been waiting for an opportunity to go as quickly as they can, but it looks like for the field, everyone's given the notification, get in line. Ben Kinney, though, the lone survivor in the middle groove.
Yeah, Ben Keeney, lone survivor right now. He is stuck on the outside. He's going up. Gotta hope that someone's going to let him in. I kind of would have expected Gavin Rogers to maybe let him in, but that's not happening. He's too far ahead of him at this point, so Ben Keeney is about to lose a ton of ground unless he can get someone to let him in line.
I mean, you gotta give credit. He is still holding strong in 4th. You would think you would have already fallen back, but with the pace everyone's running right now, and the fact everyone's trying to save fuel, it's allowing the 98 currently to hold position and now gain time on Cody Reed. He almost was dead even with the 25 heading into turn 1. And with the momentum, he finally finds a spot to slot in. And that was very intriguing to watch, as you made the call. You expected Gavin Rogers to make the move. It was just a lap later when he decided to give space for the 98.
Yeah, that was really impressive from Ben Keeney, able to keep up with those front-running cars, doing the right thing, just kind of side drafting. And, you know, I will say, when you are on the outside line there, if you position the car properly, you can get a little bit of drafting help through the turns. It's just down the straightaways, it can be so much harder. But Ben Keeney was able to get just enough draft to kind of keep up with him. And then, yeah, Gavin Rogers allowing Ben Keeney back in line so he doesn't get completely shuffled to the back, because this is where Ben Keeney needs to be. He needs to be up front, and he's got 2 cars in front of him. And if he can keep this spot, that's only 2 cars he's got to pass when the checkered flag's about to fly.
Well, we're about 15 to 16 laps away from expecting to see pit stops happen. We're talking about reality. Well, if you want to race like the pros, go check out GTR simulators, as they've got racing rigs that can simulate like you're in your own racing cockpit, as well as have compact versions of racing rigs you can fold up and get out of the way if you got a smaller room that really can't hold a stationary rig. Go head over to GTR simulators today and go check out their wide variety, from the compact V2 GTR rig to their many more racing rigs that they have, from top tier racing league level rigs and more. Head on over to gtrsimulators.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR for 10% off at checkout for $100 and more purchases. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros from GTR simulators. 30 laps in, and it's still, we're right back where we were to start the season off. The conga line has shown up, Richard, and I'm not surprised by it, but I'm mostly surprised on the fact that our front three is Ollie Fonseca, Cody Reed, and Ben Keating. That would not be my top 3 I would expect to have leading this conga line right now.
Yeah, I mean, Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca leading this conga line right now. But yeah, I'm really shocked that we're already back in this straight line, but at the same time, I'm not shocked. Like you said, trying to even save that fuel, get this, make it to a one-stop race. But I'm shocked it took this long for them to get into a single file line. So, but this is what we're going to see probably for a good 20-something laps, more than likely, or at least between 15 and 20 laps when the green flag pit stops start. And we'll have to see what drivers decide to come with each other, so you don't come out alone and you have a big enough group to be able to catch up when everyone's done.
And seeing all these drivers in line again, the pit window we were given, if you're just going full bore, not saving, was about 44 to 45 laps of fuel. And if we're saving on this run, that would put you on the short margin. You'd want to pit on around laps 47 or coming up to 47. I'm curious on the amount of drivers that are going to be thinking about saving on the second run, and you want to pit a little bit sooner, maybe put a slight bit of less fuel in so you have a better go, or is everyone stretching it out to empty on this go, on this first stint? That's really the big question for everyone. And then I think once we see pit stops happen, is who's going to make pit stop mistakes, because that has been a killer for a lot of drivers this season, is having unsafe pit entries, speeding under pit road, poor exits. And then the big one, I think, for a lot of drivers, who's taking tires and who's not, because 90 laps on one set, you wouldn't think would be too crazy, but we were seeing a lot of big sliding moves in the early goings of this race. I don't know if you still would have this set of tires late in this race if we're just gonna have a one stop.
Yeah, I think, I don't think anybody's going to take fuel only. I can definitely expect maybe some right side or left side tires, because I know sometimes at these super speedways, left side tires actually wear a lot more than the right side. So, I expect majority of this field to take 2 tires during their green flag pit stop. But yeah, you were saying, pit road entrance, it is something that these drivers definitely need to practice, because when you're pitting under green flag, you have 6-7 cars coming all in at once, all going almost 200 mile an hour and trying to slow down to 65. That's a massive amount of speed they have to shave off so they don't get that black flag and have to sit in the pit lane for like 40 seconds for the hold when you're speeding into pit lane. So you got to dodge all the cars trying to slow down and see if you can't outbrake others, because you can make passes going into pit road.
Well, Cody Reed is showing the boredom of just staying in line as the 25 is just bobbing and weaving his way on the backstretch, and nobody is following suit because everyone's doing the same strategy. Let's save fuel, and whatever the leader does, we're going to do the same and try to save as much as possible. And for us, because we're seeing the driver's board, we're going to step away here for a quick second. We haven't done this for a few weeks. I'm curious if Robert's ready for this one. We're going to see if we can throw it to a commercial break. as we've got ourselves everyone staying in line, and a few drivers might be deciding to do a little bit of snaking for themselves. But don't worry, you won't miss a thing as we'll go side by side. You're watching the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. It's the regular season finale here at Talladega. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. You're watching WSSR Cup Series Racing as the WSSR Cup Series is presented by Elwood Designs. This is Season 12, Race 12 at Talladega, the last race of the regular season. And currently, we've been in conga line for the last 15 laps or so, and we've still have about 5 more laps before the pit window opens up for a one-stop. But interesting enough, we're seeing a little bit of a gap building up. The reason why? 2 drivers took off. The rest of the field is still saving fuel. That's Ollie Fonseca, Cody Reed, no longer waiting. They want to go. The problem, it's just the 2 of them, and they might feel like they've got enough fuel to push it and still make that window. Question is, how quickly will they be caught from the rest of the field that's still in save mode, as the speed difference about a half a second between the top 2 and the rest of the field. as Benkini seems to be running high. Gavin Rogers, he says, all right, we'll slice our way around one another. But Richard, this is a bizarre situation that's building up of our top two saying, let's go. And the rest of the field are now 2.5 seconds behind them.
Yeah, Cody Reed and Ali Fonseca, they kind of just checked out and left. I mean, the downside is they are going to be using a lot of fuel doing so. And Ben Keeney, he decided to exit from the front of this group. I don't know if it's to try to catch those front two or if he's just trying to save some fuel because he was leading that group for a while. So, oh, the 00, Brian Noel, he blinked a few times. That's scary when you're close to each other like that, but looks like back to being a stable connection. But yeah, it looks like this group right here, they are definitely in the fuel conservation mode. And it looks like the leaders have pulled into the pits.
And that will be our top two, Ali Fonseca and Cody Reed. They did not make it to the numbered zone that they needed to. That was going to be around lap 47 to 46 is the number that you need to hit if you want to stretch the fuel out to the end of this race for a one stop, and only able to get to lap 42 is our top two. That is not a good call by the both of them because they didn't even make it to the end. And also, black flag for Ali Fonseca. That doubles and snowballs the issue even more because now Cody's going to be all on his own as Fonseca will be still stuck for another 30 more seconds.
Oh, that is detrimental to those two. Ali Fonseca, and that's exactly what you're saying. You gotta not speed going into pit road. And that will leave Cody Reed all by his lonesome. And he will just not be able to keep up with this field when they get their pit stops done. So that, unless a caution happens, that is almost race done for both Ollie and Cody Reed. Unfortunate to see for both of them.
The main positive thing that you can take away is at least Cody Reed and Ali Fonseca took off. And they had about a almost 3-second gap lead between the top two to the rest of the field. The rest of the field still is not going at 100% speed yet. I mean, we were seeing at the start of this race, they were running about 202 miles per hour into turn 3. They're about 10 miles per hour slower than that when they entered into turn 3 there. And over the radio, Gavin Rogers making the sign, they're heading into pit road. So stretching the fuel out to the window that we were thinking about a 46 to 47, not going to be the case for the 98 nor the 1. They have to pit on lap 44 into 45. That puts a little bit of concern for those two drivers. As for Rogers, Benkini, they're gonna have to fuel save on this next run to the end of the race.
Yeah, they're going to have to save quite a bit of fuel. Unfortunate for them going into the pits. Rogers and Ben Keeney, they're going to be working together. So, I mean, again, by themselves, nobody else came in with them. I guess they just were unable to save the amount of fuel they needed to as we're about to hit the halfway mark. They were so close to making this a potential one stop, and they still can technically, but now they got to be back in the field and further back than probably what they want to do, especially for Ben Keeney, who needs to win this race.
Little bit of mistake from Gavin Rogers. He had to back up during his run. Now the next lap. Here's the next pairing of drivers into pit road. It's more Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers of Jared Talmadge as well. Going to be seeing Jake Nichols and Chris Ditz joining along in that ride. As looking at the lap times, Cody Reed 52.3, and he will be slotted in front of Gavin Rogers and Ben Keeney, so that is a positive for the 25. He has two other drivers to work with, but they better get rolling quickly because their front pack is right behind those three drivers.
Yeah, the front pack right behind them catching up, but the front pack right now, they still have to pit. So, I mean, it's not too detrimental unless a caution comes out, then they're going to be a lap down. But the rest of the field looks like they're diving in to come into the pits. So this is going to be dangerous.
As it's everyone who has it pit. Multiple drivers sliding, multiple drivers going around as Brian Noel goes for a big slide. He's able to get rolling, still in the middle of the pack. Also going to be Ryan Kelly with a big slide, but it's Jan Van Leer. Black flag for the 10 machine. He's into the pit wall, and the 10, his fate is no longer in his hands. He's now just hoping that the 98, the 00, and the 28, none of those three drivers win. Because if they do, they take that 16th and final spot of the chase. Jan, that is the worst thing you could see for yourself as he's got a 40-second hold now.
Man, you hate seeing that. Just caution or black flags is not what you want to do in a small field where cautions are more than likely not going to happen. So he's going to have to come out all by himself and, hopefully hook up with Ali Fonseca potentially. But these drivers coming out of pit lane, we've got Brian McCann. He's trying to file back up. He was caught really low down the apron trying to get back up in line for this group right here. But unfortunate that we've had 2 black flags for these green flag pit stops.
Watching us make sure everyone got a safe re-entry onto the track, and then they will do so. The best drivers that exit out of pit road and are leading this race, John Forbes Jr., Chuck Sweeting. Those 2 drivers really maximized their pit entry and exit. And the 57 and the 7 try to take off and go, but catching up quickly going to be Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers of Jake Nichols, Jarrett Talmadge in line and motoring their way forward, as it's a little bit of 2-car tango that's going on right now. Seeing drivers pick your partner and take off and go, as Lucky Duck Motorsports now going to be 1, 2, 3, as for 1 pit stop of the evening for majority of the field is done and dusted. They get in line, and after pit cycle concludes, 11 drivers going to be in this lead pack. Jan Van Leer, who had the black flag hold, he is currently the first driver 1 lap down. He's about to be passed by Ali Fonseca for the 10, hoping to get in line and to stay connected to this pack, but he's going too slow. They're running too quick, and the 10 is losing track. He's now going to need 2 cautions if he's going to be getting himself rolling and hopefully getting the Lucky Dog spot, because Ali Fonseca's with this lead group. Also seeing Cody Reed, Gavin Rogers there to really closing in on the gap. Now make it 14 drivers that are in this lead group online, and Gavin Rogers setting the fastest lap of the race. Here we go, Richard. This is a go time, and Cody Reed saying it's go time as he's making the move all on his lonesome on the outside. No fuel saving for the 25 currently.
Cody Reed making the move on the outside line. Just know he was one of the first cars to pit under a green flag, so he's definitely got less fuel now than everyone else, but he thinks it's go time. He wants to get back up to the front. I'm curious if he thinks everybody else won't make it on fuel, but I don't believe that could even be a thought, because at this point, we know Cody Reed and Ali Fonseca will not be able to make the rest of this race on fuel, but there they are, straight back up to the front as if everybody else is standing still almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big run for the 25, and I think for the 25 and the 24 that are now in line with one another, and their mindset is we're now going to no fuel saving, full bore, get in line, and try to pull away from this pack. If they're going to be in any point as fuel saving, we need a big enough gap between ourselves and the lead group to at least do like a splash and go. I think for Cody Reed and for Ali Fonseca, and maybe for Jan Van Leer, I mean, they need to get up and go, as Ali Fonseca going to be leading this race currently. He's unlapped himself the hard way. Jan in the 10, he's trying to do the same, get in front of Cody Reed, and both the 10 and the 24 would be on the lead lap, technically.
Yeah, they technically will be on the lead lap if Jan Van Leer can get around the 25 machine of Cody Reed. He's doing everything he can to try to get his lap back, but he is the lonesome car on that outside line. It is not easy to make moves up there, especially when you have Ollie and Cody both not saving fuel, and they're just full bore. Jan Van Leer is going to lose all that momentum. He's going to start dropping back now.
And as well, the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly, he also was caught with a black flag hold penalty. He is just getting caught as the 3 not fighting to stay on the lead lap. He will stay extremely high on the outside. And at this point, for Ryan Kelly, he would be the second car 1 lap down as Jan Van Leer, where he's running right now, get that lucky dog spot if a caution came out and he wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, he's got to not be a part of any accident that'll happen. But, I mean, with the drivers in a single file line, it's likely not going to happen. I mean, it's definitely going to happen right now. It can happen later in the race. I'd say with about 20 to go, that's when everyone's going to start making their moves, try to move back forward. I mean, the biggest question that I've got, though, really is for Gavin Rogers and, wow. Name's slipping my mind here. Ben Keeney, they pit in a lap or 2 earlier from everybody else, so they've got to definitely save a lot more, so they're not going to make any moves anytime soon.
Yeah, get in line and just survive. Another driver who missed out when heading into pit road, as Cody Reed is bored, and he's going to make things interesting here. That 25 is just having his fun, leading this race technically, and still bobbing and weaving, and understanding he did not hit the number that was necessary to turn this race to one stop. He will have to pit at some point. But for Cody, he's just using up every part of the track, every part of his fuel, and enjoying running behind Ali Fonseca. But wanting to come back to the driver running in 15th position, that's Brian P. Johnson. He was a part of the final group that went into pit road. The 25, though, did not get a good exit out of his pit stall, missed out being connected with the lead pack, and currently all on his lonesome 15 seconds behind where the leader is. This is a heartbreaking spot for Brian P. Johnson, who needs a caution if he wants an opportunity to win and get into the chase, as he's one of those 3 drivers.
Yeah, Brian, one of the 3 drivers trying to do the must-win situation. He has got to hope for something to happen. It unfortunate to see, another one of the drivers trying to get in, on a win, just falling far behind. I mean, you still have the 00 Brian Noel and Ben Keeney up in this front group, so they still have a very good chance. But I mean, Brian P. Johnson, it is out of his hands now, and he has got to hope that some drivers make a mistake.
Yeah, and looking at this, I mean, you look at all the scenarios that are ahead of us. I would say the 00 Brian Noel is the favorite of those 3 drivers, of Ben Keeney, Brian Noel, as well as Brian P. Johnson. Those are the 3 that are, if they win, would bounce the 10 of Jan Van Leer out of the playoffs and a chance to run for the championship. And I'm curious for the Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers, if they're all in a voice channel call right now. If they're discussing, okay, well, I know I'm good on fuel. Do we just audible and make sure that we get the 00 in? Or are we trying to still save fuel and let the best driver win at the end of the day? Going to be a curious notion to see, as talking about that 00. It'll get connected with another Lucky Duck Motorsports driver, as the 31 of Thomas Green, now on a takeoff and go motion on the outside, no longer waiting in line. It's the 31 00, and now trying to tag along with the 3 of Ryan Kelly, but a little late to get attached to that train as they're trying to catch up to the top drivers. That's going to be Cody Reed, John Forbes, as well as Ali Fonseca and Jan Van Leer. 4 drivers have pulled away from the rest of the field, and they're trying to make a statement right now.
They're trying to make a statement. John Forbes up there challenging and passing Cody Reed, but they are both using lap cars to pull away from everybody else, and that's forcing everybody's hands right now. They have got to pick up their speed. The Lucky Ducks, that looks like the decision was made. They're going to get Brian Noel up to the front. They have got to get their speed going up, but these 4 up front, they're side by side. If these guys in the back can line up and get hooked up, they can easily catch these guys, but they have got to get their speed up and moving. They can't be saving fuel right now.
No, not at all. And again, the point for Cody Reed, he needs to have a big enough gap to where he can head into pit road, top off on fuel, and have a big enough group to where if he pits, he can still be a driver that has enough time to get up to speed and maybe catch up to the lead pack, or might have a big enough gap lead where he pulls out and still is leading this race for the 25. But John Forbes trying to change that factor, because looking at when drivers went into pit road, the 7, I mean, he pitted with the group of drivers that are good on fuel, that maybe they have to save a half a tank, maybe just a lap, and he can go aggressive for a lot of this run. Doesn't have to think about saving fuel until maybe halfway through this run, which isn't for another about 10 to 15 laps. So John Forbes is in a very optimal position where he is currently.
Yeah, he's not in the greatest position because he knows Cody Reed is going to have to pit well before anybody. Cody Reed will not make the rest of this race on fuel. In theory, is what we're really thinking is not going to happen. Also, I did see some left front damage on Jan Van Leer's car. I'm very intrigued on what happened there. But
Hit the wall when he went into the pits.
Oh, that's okay. That's what happened. I was like, because he's got some heavy damage on that left front that I did not see earlier. So,
yeah, went into the pits a little bit too heavy, got himself caught speeding, then threw the car into the inside, into the pit wall, and finally got lined up to go. And luckily is nearby where Oli Fonseca is. I think that's the biggest thing for the 10. At least he's close to the leader. And if a caution comes out of those drivers in that second pack currently, try to get going. go full out to catch up to these leaders and accidentally bring out a caution. I mean, Ale Fonseca is already on the lead lap. He would be clear, and Jan Van Leer would get the lucky dog spot. So this is a very optimal position for a lot of these 4 drivers that are ahead. This group currently that we're watching, this is the lead group of drivers for that second pack. I feel bad for the 3 machine of Brian Kelly, as he was hoping to get into victory lane for the best momentum heading into the chase, but he currently just is in a spot where he's waiting for the green light. When do we finally get to go 100%? Or do we continue to save our fuel?
Yeah, I mean, they're just kind of waiting. I mean, they're doing the smart thing. It looks like they were going to try and pick up the speed and try to catch up to John Forbes. But, I mean, they all know Forbes is going to be left out all by his lonesome at some point in time, because those guys will have to pit to get fuel well before anybody else. And I don't think Forbes and Jan Van Leer will be able to pull away from the rest of the field by themselves. So, I mean, that's still a massive gap, a good 7, almost 8-second gap from John Forbes to Larry Yingling back in the 3rd position.
Yeah, each lap is about 1.5 seconds, but it continues to grow. Cody Reed trying his best to clear the gap out. And for Cody, he needs to make sure that this gap, when he enters pit road, is up to maybe 30 seconds. He needs a monumental lead to just blossom up in the next, I would say, 10 to 15 laps before he hits pit road, because he's 100% not going to make it on fuel based off the pace that he's running right now, because he need to go extreme save mode. And I'm not seeing a way that this is going to work out, because the gap is not building as quick as the 25 would hope for himself. And like Cody's dad, Lenny, out in the chat, he said this after seeing what happened to Cody and Ollie during their pit stops. Caution, caution. But this is the WSSR Cup Series. Richard, a caution is not an absolute that's going to happen each and every week.
No, it's definitely not. These guys definitely know how to keep these cars very well controlled. And, I mean, when you're driving in a single file line at a super speedway, I mean, the odds of a caution coming out just drops drastically also with these guys. So, I mean, I'm not expecting us to see a caution until probably lap 70 or later, if any of that. So, I mean, it's going to be a horseshoe's chance for a caution tonight.
Absolutely. And seeing the second pack, they're still in line, and they are running in major safe mode. I'm shocked to see how much saving is actually going on with the second group. That last lap, it was a 50 flat, was the fastest time of the drivers that were in this second group that we see on screen. Compared to Cody Reed, Ali Fonseca, Forbes, and Jan, they're going 48, 7, 45, which is the 4 of them flying around this track.
Yeah, they are just booking it up front. They are not letting up ever at all. These guys in the back, I mean, they have got to, like, I don't know if it's Ryan Kelly or Larry Yingling. I'm sorry, Larry Yingling trying to save as much fuel as he possibly can. If he's the one controlling this, that's going to be Ryan Kelly, the number 3 machine that's kind of leading this group here. So, I mean, he's a lap down, but he's leading this group trying to save the fuel. But it's very interesting that they're just not going very fast still.
Well, here's the gap. This is the front pack. John Forbes is the last driver on the lead lap in this front group, compared to Larry Yingling, who is the second driver in line in the second pack. They've got drivers that are a lap down or trying to stay on the lead lap that are leading these packs, but 12.5 seconds from when I last said, hey, this gap needs to blossom up about 4 laps ago. They've gained about 3 to 4 seconds now. This is exactly what you need to see. But you have to stay in line. Jan Van Leer has been kind of hurting this 4-man group. He gets out of line and kind of is building up a parachute as they're closing in on going to be the 28 of Brian P. Johnson. This could be a 5-driver group if they really start motoring forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a 5-driver group here. But, I mean, even Cody Reed being only 1 car behind, he's the second car in this line right now. That doesn't save as much fuel as if you're 3 or 4 cars back. So, I mean, Cody Reed's doing, I mean, they're definitely not fuel saving at all with how fast they're going. So, I mean, I'm not sure what the overall plan is here, but John Forbes, I mean, it's interesting to see him up here and running this fast.
I mean, for Forbes, like I said, I thought they were good on fuel, even if they maximize at this speed. John Forbes, I mean, if they build a big enough gap, even by himself, he might not get caught by that second group. The 7 is in a prime opportunity. Brian P. Johnson, though, if he can get in line, if they can capture the 27 and they're not able to, they're just driving too fast. Jan Van Leer's not even able to get in line. This is killing all the momentum that they were building up, and they're trying to pull back the 27 as best as possible. I think he's starting to lose the draft. I don't think he's close enough. He's still within that second window. It's about 7/10 the difference. And getting up to speed is Johnson. He has latched on. So it will be a 5-car group that we'll have for this lead pack. And this is perfect for Cody Reed as well for John Forbes, because if they hit markers of a 48 flat or just a lower 48-second lap time, they can really help this 25 on just doing a splash and go and maybe being close to the lead pack and still in this race.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. I think if anything is going to help out John Forbes the most, this will give John Forbes another car he can get behind and draft off of and try to make this gap extend even more, because Forbes, I mean, it's a very good possibility that he still might be able to make it on fuel over the rest of the field, because even if he's out there by himself or even has a draft or two, I mean, he could easily walk away and have a walk-off win tonight.
And looking at the lap times, that second pack starting to pick up a little bit more speed. That was a 49.4. That was 49.3 for those drivers. That last go around, a 48.8 as they were trying to pick up Brian P. Johnson. We'll see what lap times and how much of this gap grows or shrinks. And currently it is shrinking as John Forbes, they stay stable at 15 seconds. We'll see how much it really starts to expand or shrink, but I'm not seeing enough closure of these 5 drivers. They're not in unison as you would like, and Thomas Green and the Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers are now leading that second pack, and they have been given the green light. It's time to close in on your top 2.
Pedal to the metal, stop saving fuel. It's time to close that gap and catch those guys in front. The win is in sight as they are closing in on 20 laps to go for this field, but they have still got a 14.5-second gap that they have got to close in if they want a chance to win this race, depending on what the fuel situation looks for those guys up there.
And for Lucky Duck Motorsports, they've got 2 different scenarios. You've got in this second pack, it's second in line is Brian Noel. If he wins, he makes it into the chase and would knock out the 10 of Jan Van Leer. Also, you've got the driver in the back of this pack in the 98 machine of Ben Keeney, who's had his ups and downs, a couple of slides here tonight. That 98 is clean, and he's currently back there with Gavin Rogers. If they need to take off and go, they can. The only problem for the one in the 98, they still were trying to save fuel. They needed to save about a lap extra than everybody else. We'll see if this extra speed that they've ramped up to is going to hurt the one in the 98. But if you're the 00 Brian Noel, you are in a perfect scenario because you've stalled out John Forbes and Cody Reed. You've gained time on them, and you continue to gain time each and every second on track as we're on lap 69.
Yeah, they're not catching extremely fast either. I mean, the thing that they're going to hope for is when the driver's it's going to need to pit to get fuel peel off, that Forbes loses all his momentum. But, I mean, they have got a huge gap to close still, and it is just not closing very fast. But they're doing the right thing. They're all staying in line still. They're not trying to fight for positions right now because, I mean, the only drivers that really need to fight for any kind of position will be Brian Noel or Ben Keeney. But the problem is they need to get to the front to really make it matter because they have to get a win.
Yeah, and this is kind of that weird polarizing spot that you're in. If you're Cody Reed and Ollie Fonseca, you're in a spot where you're keeping Ollie on the lead lap. But if you're thinking about Cody Reed and trying to stay in the fight for this race, you might need to just pit now. Stop the bleeding that's happening. You're losing all that time that you had just built up. Pit now, see what you can salvage. Once this lead pack gets side by side and gets a little bit more racy and maybe loses a little bit of this tempo that they're building, staying in line in that second pack. But each lap that they stay out, the more and more of trying to close in kind of falls away. And I'm just looking at the times, looking at how much fuel's being saved. This is a lost cause for Cody Reed. If you're John Forbes, you need Cody Reed, Oliver Fonseca, and also this 10 and the 28 to stay out there on track until they run out of fuel, and do not pit early. Otherwise, John Forbes is a sitting duck by himself.
Yeah, John Forbes will be a sitting duck by himself. But I mean, even with the bleeding that is going on with the gap, even if they pit, when the bleeding before the bleeding started, I just don't think they'd be able to get back up to this pack, because it's just so long on pit road. You're talking 65 mile an hour on pit road. These guys are going 180, 190, almost 200 mile an hour. You're going to lose way too much ground on pit road, even if you're in there for 2 or 3 seconds for a quick splash and go.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said that I think they needed about a 30-second to a 35-second gap to even have a chance at a splash and go working out in their favor. It only got up to about 15 and a half seconds before the gap started dwindling down. It's now down to 14.4. And the second group, they have decided it's time to race this out side by side. And it's currently going to be the Hello Kitty machine of Cedric Hunter on the outside, moving with Zach Hall, Brian McCann, Chuck Sweeting, and then on the inside groove, it's Lucky Duck Motorsports, going to be 3 drivers deep of Thomas Green, Brian Noel, and Jake Nichols, trying to find their opportunities to make some big moves and shuffles. And you're trying to find your teammates, get in line, and it's time to work with one another. As Ben Keeney in the 98, he's moved up to the outside, and that's a sign to me Ben feels like he's good on fuel, and he can finally start racing up front.
Yeah, once you see these drivers step out of the line on the inside, work to the outside, and move forward, that's the green light. That's the knowledge of, hey, we're good on fuel. Let's get moving. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to follow this outside line, get in front of Brian Noel. That's going to give him his best opportunity to try to make a move up to the front. Downside, he doesn't really have teammates up in that outside line with him. Though Tarek Talmadge is making a move to the outside to try and help him out maybe. But they are following Chuck Sweeting, and Chuck has got to get some speed up. But Talmadge not going to help Keeney in that line. He's going to move to the outside with Gavin Rogers to try to get around Sweeting and Keeney.
As there they go on that third row, 3 wide in the middle of the second pack as they continue to race on. Chuck Sweeting, Ben Kinney going to be in the middle. Outside is Jarrett Talmadge and Gavin Rogers. And Jarrett Talmadge, can he find a way to win 3 regular season finale races in a row? He did it back in season 10 at Daytona 08. Last season, it was here at Talladega. Could tonight be another Talladega win for the 27 that has just been on a roll when it comes to the super speedway race? He's always up front. And right now, he's got one of the best drivers to follow in suit of Gavin Rogers, and then the best driver of the season of Jake Nichols right behind him. That third row is probably one of the strongest 3 racers you could have. The next strongest is on the inside row. Cedric Hunter last week finally got himself a top 5 finish, his first one of season 12. Zach Hall's been finding his own rhythm recently, and Brian McCann backing off, trying to run with his Cody Glencock's music drivers. That team has been strong, but all the movement, it's now just seeing opportunities on the line with 16 laps to go. But again, the true leaders of the race right now, Cody Reed, John Forbes, yet to hit pit road as their gap is stalled out to 14 seconds.
Chuck Sweeting is going to go to the outside. He's going to let them go around, but Brian Noel's not going to help Ben Keeney back here. I mean, they are jostling for position. Ben Keeney is stuck on the outside all by himself with Jake Nichols behind him. Maybe Jake can give him a nice little shove, get him back moving forward, but it just looks like Ben Keeney is not comfortable. He keeps slipping and sliding all over the place, not really steady with the steering wheel, so he's losing a lot of momentum and not being able to keep up with these guys.
Yeah, he's running about a half a groove higher than everyone else, and that's really been a hard thing to follow, is when a driver's just not hitting the same rhythm as everyone else, it really makes you, the driver that's following, have to do so much more mental work of, okay, I would usually run here, maybe I need to run a little bit higher, and if Ben Keeney runs the natural line that you've been seeing everyone else run, you're then out of line. It is a weaving action you do not want to be a part of.
Yeah, you got to be smooth also. Like every little movement you have in the steering wheel shaves off speed, even in the draft or when you're being pushed. So he's doing a good job right now. He's got his help from his teammate of Jake Nichols right behind him. And you got the number 31 of Thomas Green right behind him as well. Those are some really fast drivers behind Keeney trying to push him up front. These guys still trying to close that gap. It is only down to 13.8 seconds. They haven't closed that gap a huge amount yet. But Ben Keeney just looks like he's not getting the momentum off the turns. I feel like he's just going too high, and the momentum just gets shunted, and the inside line just is able to keep up with the with him.
I mean, Lucky Duck Motorsports is in such a tough spot right here. You got 14 drivers that are on the lead lap that's in this pack. Half of this group that we see on screen are from Lucky Duck Motorsports. And you've got a harder decision to make on top of that of who do you want to push up front. Currently, it's Ben Keeney who's going to be moved up to lead this second pack. But another driver who wants to be leading up there is the 00 Brian Noel. Both drivers are having a chance to take the wild card position, 16th in points, if they win here tonight. If they don't win, that position goes to the 10 of Jan Van Leer, whose fate is in the hands of those drivers as he runs one lap down back in 16th.
Yeah, Jan Van Leer, it's kind of, I mean, it's a tough position to be in where you're in a position where there's nothing you can do. You just got to sit there and hope that the three guys that are racing for the win don't get that win. I mean, you hate when something is not in your control, but that is exactly what's going on with Jan Van Leer tonight. He has got to hope that these guys don't get up there and challenge for that first place.
As Lucky Duck Motorsports all get in line, the one driver they're missing is John Forbes from that team. And where is he? 12.8 seconds ahead with Cody Reed. This is where the actual leaders of the race run. The 25 second in line, the 7 of John Forbes. This is first and second of the race. The only problem, Cody Reed in the 25, the 24 of Ali Fonseca, they are currently about 6 laps shy from making it to the end of this race. Even if they were fuel saving, they went full bore. Let's go as fast as we can after leaving pit road. So they are gonna have to pit here in the next about 4 to 5 laps, if not sooner, which is now gonna leave John Forbes in the 7 all on his lonesome. We might see the 10 of Jan Van Leer stay out, the 25 as well as Brian P. Johnson could stay out. Could be 3 drivers that could work with the 7, but that's gonna be the tough thing of, will they work with the 7 or is everyone gonna head into pit road?
Yeah, that's going to be, I mean, he's in a very interesting situation because he knows the majority of the guys around him are going to have to pit for fuel. So, I mean, he's hoping that that gap between him and the guys behind him are big enough that he can run by himself and maybe keep that gap there. But it's just, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, it'll be interesting. If anybody's going to stay out with John Forbes, it'll probably be Brian P. Johnson, but he's a little too far back. And I don't think Jan Van Leer is going to be much help either with the draft. So, I mean, John Forbes is just not in the best positions to try and win this race. But we'll have to see as we get ready to, see what these 2 cars in front and what they do.
When will they decide to hit pit road? We're expecting here in the next 4 to 5 laps that at least the top 2 are pitting. Who will join them will be the big question. And was 12 seconds a big enough gap for John Forbes to hold back the second group that is now being led by Zach Hall and Cedric Hunter that have been able to make the pass on the outside and get by Lucky Duck Motorsports? Now it's going to be the Cody Glencock's drivers of Brian McCann, Larry Yingling, as well as Chris Stitz. They were hoping to get a clean runway on the outside to take the lead, but Cedric Hunter said no. It's now Category 5 Esports leading the outside row of pack number 2. As they're waiting for the leaders to make their way into pit road. Cody Reed, Ali Fonseca, they pitted with 42 laps into this race, which means they would be pitting here in the next 2 laps. Or can they stretch the fuel out for another 4? That's going to be the big thing. And will a caution come out to save Cody Reed and John Forbes?
Yeah, it's the biggest question right now is, will a caution come out in this group back here? And Zach Hall and Cedric Hunter, they're doing the best they can. Their teammates, leading both of these lines. The downside is they have no teammates really behind them. It's 2 separate teams that they are leading. So if one of those teams decides to make a move, I mean, they're kind of a sitting duck at that point. So it's a matter of a waiting game on who's going to move first or whether or not Zach Hall and Cedric Hunter can do a really good job defending these lanes and keep control.
Talladega here tonight has already shown some highlight moments. It's shown some low moments. And if you'd like to capture some of those moments and show them off at home with your own trophies, we'll head on over to Trophy Smack at trophysmack.com. Go check out their wide variety of championship trophies, rings, belts, and their product, the Wall Smack. It's a metal plate where you can put your own metal, your own custom image on that metal plate, as they've got their safe walls mounting system with a magnet, or you can get a stand to place it on your shelf or desk. Go check out Wall Smack from the trophysmack.com website, and remember to use the promo code WSSR Smack at checkout for 10% off. Again, that's trophysmack.com. Go check out your high and low moments and celebrate them with your Trophy Smack. We also want to say thank you to Sim Precision Prints. You got to be our last sponsor to say thank you to. Head on over to simprecisionprints.shop. Remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout to get 10% off on all orders $50 or more, as Sim Precision Prints is your one place to go if you're wanting to find some 3D printed one-of-a-kind pieces or specially made iRacing or just racing gear in general. Again, that's simprecisionprints.shop. Sim Precision Prints, precision prints, performance delivered. Thank you so much to all the amazing sponsors that have partnered up with the WSSR Cup Series for Season 12. From Elwood Designs to Lucky Duck Motorsports, GTR Simulators, to Sim Precision Prints, and as well Trophy Smack. We appreciate all that you've done for WSSR Cup Series, as it is time for the decision. Do you pit now? Is it the next lap? And it's now. It's Ollie Fonseca. It's Cody Reed leaving us with 3 drivers. It's John Forbes with the lap down crew. Cody Reed throws away this race completely now. Fonseca grabs his second black flag, a penalty for entering pit road too fast, and it's all over for those drivers of Ollie Fonseca and Cody Reed. It's down to John Forbes. Will the lap cars work with him? Does he have the fuel in his 10.5 seconds? A big enough gap with 4.5 laps to go.
This could work out perfectly for John Forbes. We'll have to see if he can save enough gas, or he has been. I mean, he's got 40 laps currently in the run. It's still got 5 laps to go, so it's going to be cutting it close, but I think John Forbes might actually be able to pull this off with the strategy that he played.
It's the run, it's the chase down. Did you save enough, or is the pack gonna catch you? As it's down to 9.6 seconds, the difference between John Forbes and the second pack. Really, Jan Van Leer, he has just got a lead. The problem for John Forbes is he put the damaged car in front. He had to. Brian P. Johnson would have been more the optimal driver to have leading this group, but you put the damaged car leading this 3-man crew. The 28 not trying to help at all. He's backed off so much. There's nothing. It's just 2 drivers, and the gap somehow is still 9 seconds the difference between first and second.
Yeah, still a massive gap for John Forbes, but yeah, his time is being completely destroyed with the damaged car, the number 10 Tide Machine of Jan Van Leer. They are catching a car up there that looks like coming out of the pits. That'll be Cody Reed, so that might be able to be a saving grace for John Forbes. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if John Forbes has enough fuel to make it to the end here, but he's doing everything he can to stay in the draft and not lead this group so he can save every little bitty inch of fuel.
John Forbes, his one win this season was Darlington, back at right before we moved over to 2026 in the new year. He's hoping to grab win number 2 right before the chase, as he is currently getting the help now from Cody Reed. Reed pushing Jan Van Leer, pushing the 10, staying on the lead lap, and John Forbes hoping to cruise into victory lane with all the help 2 laps to go. The difference, 7.5 seconds. That last lap, it was only a second and a half, a little bit less than a second and a half, and they're now 3 wide battling for positions back in the second pack. They're realizing we're scrapping for second, not the win. We may not even catch John Forbes.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to catch John Forbes unless something happens with him or up front. I mean, unless a caution happens here, we saw some pushing and shoving a little bit. Gavin got a little loose from a little push from Jarrett. He's going to give a little push to Cedric Hunter.
Oh,
There's a spin. Brian Noel is up into the outside
no.
wall.
Caution is out, and Forbes' win thrown away. Noel is damaged. And just like that, the driver that was hoping to be a part of the win in your in system might be completely taken out. Too much damage for himself, too much damage for the 3, and John Forbes' 7-second gap now completely disappeared.
And the accident comes with just about the white flag to fall. A bad push in onto the 00. Brian Noel sends his car careening to the outside wall, hitting Brian Kelly in the number 3 machine also. Unfortunate for these drivers. We see right here just a checkup from Brian Noel. Let's the 73 machine of Jake Nichols get into the rear end, and then Brian Noel is just kind of along for the ride up into Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly nowhere to go.
And looking at the drivers and where they were running, Cody Reed as well as Jan Van Leer, because they were ahead of John Forbes at the time of the caution being thrown, both will stay on the lead lap, and Brian P. Johnson will grab the lucky dog position. He will take the wave around game back on the lead lap, and this now puts at least now 2 of the 3 drivers that were in a chance to win in your in having another opportunity at it. Ben Keeney going to be the driver starting in 11th. Brian P. Johnson going to start all the way in the back, and this will be the 5th time at Talladega that they're going to overtime, and John Forbes doesn't have the fuel for overtime. He has to head into pit road. The question is, I don't think anyone has the fuel. Everyone is heading to pit road to top off.
Everybody coming into pit road because, I mean, here's what they're expecting. It is down to a green-white checkered situation, and the field is going to be bunched up again. It is a very good possibility that we see more green-white checkered finishes. So they've got to get fuel. There's no way they can go more than 1 green-white checkered. So a quick splash and go for John Forbes. He's going to be out in the gray. We'll see what other drivers and how they come out in the field to line up for this restart.
And can confirm that Brian Noel is out of this race. Too much damage. He still has the required damage flag and is 2 laps down. Even if he was able to get the cautions that were needed, he would still be a lap down, and a win was needed for him to make it into the chase here for season 12. It dwindles. It was 4 drivers with a chance for 1 spot, now down to 3. Jan Van Leer in the 10 machine. His fate, if he wins, he is an absolute lock for the chase. The only way that the 10 does not make it into the chase is if we see either Ben Keeney or Brian P. Johnson get into victory lane. Those are the 2 drivers that if they win, they are eligible to take the wild card position of 16th in points. The drama looms. We are here for our first attempt at overtime, a green-white checkered. It'll be a 2 laps to go when we go green. If we get a caution under that first lap, we will then head into our second attempt at overtime. But if we take the white flag, this race is official, and it's all about who crosses the line next to take the victory. Richard, this has been a race of strategy for over 89 laps, but coming up to the white flag is when everything breaks loose. Our first caution is thrown of the evening, and it's changed everything.
Everything has changed. It's up on its head. Strategy is out the window. Now it's who's got the heavier foot and can get the quicker speeds so they can stay up front. Interesting to see Ali Fonseca, though. Looks like he's going to try to stay up front and get a lap back with the wave around. A few more drivers pulling off, trying to get some extra top-off fuel. That'd be Cedric Hunter and Zach Hall. So interesting move by themselves, but getting ready to go double or side-by-side here as we get ready for the last lap of caution before they take the green flag for this green-white checkered finish.
Yeah, Oli Fonseca trying to get that as we get the one to go. For the drivers, Oli Fonseca will still stay 1 lap down instead of being 2 laps down for the 24. And now he'll be banking on there being a second caution so he can get back on the lead lap and have a chance to race for this one here this evening. Ryan Kelly, Brian Noel, both out of this race. We were only at 18 drivers show up here tonight. 16 are still running. 15 are on the lead lap. And John Forbes, who thought he was about to taste victory, now has 14 hungry wolves behind him. And this will be the most aggressive we've seen the whole field all night long. This is time. Richard, any final thoughts before we get ourselves ready for our first overtime attempt?
I'm just saying the amount of Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers up front with Ben Keeney sitting in the 10th position, they have an opportunity to get him into the playoffs. The question is, are they going to try and help him do that, or are they all going to try and go for the win themselves? It's very interesting to see what they do, but Ben Keeney is not in a terrible position to try and take this win.
Absolutely not. As we have seen, the last time that we ran at this track, this car combo, it was identical times coming across the line between Ben Nelson and Cody Reed. Reed took the victory that day. Here tonight, will we have another spectacular finish? Will it just be one driver stepping away from everybody else? I got a feeling we're going to see some 3 wide. Will we see 4 wide action? Who's willing to risk it all? And do we need a second overtime attempt? This is our first time here for overtime for this race here at Talladega. Here we go. The last race of the regular season. Who will be the 16 drivers with a chance for a championship? Let's find out. John Forbes, Jared Tallmadge going to be the lead drivers as we are revving it up. Your first attempt at overtime is underway. If we stay green, we race on. We need to take the white flag for this race to become official, but if we wreck and bring out a caution in lap number 1, we head to overtime attempt number 2. Richard, here we go. They're already bump drafting coming out of turn number 2. It's a drag race on the backstretch.
Drag race down the backstretch as we've got the green flag. They got to go to the white flag, but it looks like 31 on the screen. He's going to the outside to make it 3 wide. Chris Stitz, Gavin Rogers, they're looking at the middle lane. Chris Stitz back to the inside there, 3 wide through turn 3 there, bobbing and weaving, fishtail a little bit as they're up on each other's bumpers. One small push can spell disaster for a lot of these drivers, but John Forbes is going to control the lanes. A huge block to the outside lane as they come to the white flag.
As they go through the tri-oval, they come across the line. It's your Sim Precision Prince. White flag. This is it. The race is official. Who's winning? Will it be one of the drivers that's a win in your in scenario? The 98 and the 28. They're too far back. They need a wreck to have a chance for the win. But it's currently the 7 of John Forbes going to be on the outside groove. Jared Tallmadge in the middle. Brian McCann on the inside. Seeing the drivers working in line. Just to let you know, the apron, you can go under that yellow line if you want, but you better be careful getting back on the racing surface as they're 3 wide exiting out of turn number 4. It's a drag race. Who will force it 4? They continue to stay 3. They're side by side. Who's getting to the line first? Is it the 7, the 27? And it's John Forbes solidifying himself winning here at Talladega.
Phenomenal 3 wide finish basically across the field as John Forbes takes the win tonight at Talladega just over Jared Tallmadge. Jared Tallmadge almost able to make it 3 in a row of the season finale, was unable to get it by 11 hundredths of a second.
He tried everything. He tried a little bit of door banging, was hoping for another push, but it just wasn't there. And John Forbes, what a sweet victory this has to be. Feeling like his win was ripped away just a straight away from the white flag. Coming up to the line there on lap 89. But in overtime, he got the help. He was able to get the run. And at the end, the 7 of John Forbes grabs his 2nd win of the season. And what a time to get it as the 7 of John Forbes gets to burn it down and enjoy this one. Heartbreak looms for others as Ben Keeney, Brian Noel, Brian B. Johnson, your season is done for racing for a championship. Jan Van Leer, you survived, barely there, but he, the 10, will race and take that 16th spot to run in the chase. For us, though, we're not done just yet. We've got the post-race show. We'll be back talking to our top 3, John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, and Brian McCann. We'll be back right after this for interviews and to get you ready for the chase that begins next week. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. The regular season finale certainly gave us a show as it was a 3-wide finish coming to the end, and it was a drag race between the teammates on who was going to get the win. Ultimately, it goes to the 7 of John Forbes as we head to victory lane to see how the 7 machine is feeling. John, you had a roller coaster of feelings there late. You had the gap by over 7 seconds before a late caution threw us to overtime, but ultimately you take the win with a 3-wide finish to the end. How are you feeling after that incredible run to the end?
Yeah, roller coaster is an understatement. I mean, I was just about to get the white flag to basically wrap that one up. I had saved the fuel. And it was just about done. And of course, we get the caution. So from that point, I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to win this race. I just was like, oh, I feel cheated out of this one. I played the strategy perfect, got broken away from the field with the other guys that had to save more because I was able to stretch it an extra lap on the first stop. So yeah, then it came down to the end, 2 laps. And you know what they say, ball don't lie. We were able to get the victory and take some momentum into the playoffs here. It's been kind of up and down all season, honestly. So to get back to victory lane, I know it's Talladega, the luck and everything, but I think I made the best call moving up to the top, and I just felt like that was going to be the spot I needed to go to win the race. So jumped up in front of Tom, and luckily we were able to connect pretty good. Nothing really happened when I transferred up there, and he was able to push me. So I got to really thank Tom for this win. But yeah, everybody lucky ducks. We had a pretty good race overall. Always nice having teammates and stuff, but I hit that point where I'm like, okay, they got to save more fuel. I'm going to try and break away because Cody and Ollie were doing the same thing that they did on the first run, which was basically just go 100%. So I'm like, okay, I already have the extra lap of fuel. So to jump behind them and yeah, really put us in position to win this one tonight.
Yeah, John, impressive work tonight. It was definitely a lot of questions of your fuel load and how you were going to make it when you were up there running with Cody Reed and Ollie Fonseca. But I mean, you played it perfectly, even though the caution came out and you're still able to squeak it away. I mean, this has got to be fantastic momentum for yourself going into the next race when the playoffs start.
Yeah, it's bonus points too. So I was able to get by Vinny because he wasn't here tonight. So that's honestly just what I was looking at doing tonight, is coming out second, because it's just that one extra point. And I mean, I saw last year how much that 1 point would have meant for the championship. So every point matters. Every point's going to help me out. So to be coming in I believe I should be second, and the playoffs is definitely going to be helpful.
Yeah, based off the amount of points you grabbed here tonight and Vinny not showing up, second is yours, John. Looking at this race here tonight, it was a wild one. I know us up at the booth, we were talking about the different scenarios. Lucky Duck Motorsports, you had two drivers that if they had won, they would have taken that 16th position in the playoffs. Was there ever any conversation of trying to help Noel as well as or helping Ben Keeney to get them into the playoffs, or was it kind of a good luck? You're fighting for the win here tonight. Everyone is.
Yeah, I mean, for everybody at Lucky Ducks, I mean, we play fair. But if it came to the situation where one of the guys was in front of me, like let's say it was reversed, I was in Tom's position and it was Noel or Kenny hopping up in front of me. Obviously, I'm not going to try and pass them. I'm going to push them like a good teammate should and help them get in the playoffs because obviously we want to have as many cards as possible. But I think getting most of us in was pretty cool for the season. So it sucks that they had trouble with the blow motor and stuff, but yeah, they'll still be showing up every week through the new chase coming up. So yeah, good night for us overall. But yeah, we'll take this moment. I don't even know where we're at next week, but yeah, we'll just keep improving. This new car is, well, not new car, but going back to the old car is definitely more in my wheelhouse. I hate dealing with the dirty air and stuff like that. So to have more of just a clean kind of slate to go racing with every week, it's a lot more fun.
Well, to start the chase off, we are heading to New Hampshire next week, John. I know for us at the booth, we're excited to see how this vehicle is going to handle that track with the added pressure of it being during the chase. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, I think John Peel, everybody at Lucky Ducks. I mean, we just have a great team this season, so I'm excited to go into the playoffs and hopefully have something to compete for the wins every week. I think Jake Nichols and everybody, they've had enough wins this season, so I got to get on a roll here. I know we're at 2, so I think that puts me second in the wins column. So I got to claw that number back on Jake a little bit. So yeah, I got to thank Americares, Call Chassis, everybody on board that's here with Lucky Ducks, No Kid Hungry. I got to thank you guys for putting the broadcast on and everybody, all friends and family watching at home.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call there at the end, John. Congratulations on your second win of the season. Enjoy it, and good luck next week in New Hampshire.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
As that will be John Forbes in the 7 machine, your season 10 champion. Can he go for his second championship in the WSSR Cup Series? Well, that journey starts next week as one driver continues on his ways of showing consistency. He comes away second. We got the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge. And Jarrett, super speedways, man, in the WSSR, you are always there at the end. And once again, right there, just a little bit over 1/100th of a second. You come away shy from victory lane. But how are you feeling coming away second here tonight after the up and down roller coaster of saving fuel and not saving fuel here tonight?
I mean, I'm pretty excited to come away with second, considering how it was looking coming to the white there with about less than half a straightaway, I guess. Whenever the caution came out there, we were sitting like 12th or something. So, I mean, to come away P2 and be, like you said, 11 thousandth off is, I mean, that's pretty good. It's good momentum rolling into the playoffs, finishing second there. Just glad we got our Wednesday night freeway ride over.
Yeah, fantastic finish between you and John Forbes, Jarrett. And I mean, last season you won this race specifically to get yourself into the playoffs. This season, you didn't have to do that, but you could have. You had an opportunity to go 3 in a row for the season finale. Did you even realize that was an opportunity or possibility?
No, no, I didn't. I didn't know that. Maybe if I did, I would have walled John then to make sure I got it. But no, even if I knew that, I wouldn't really be thinking about it anyways. I mean, the goal is always going to be to win. I think I ended up 4th in points. I think Brian McCann just pipped me there, so still good finish of points. I think I'm the only person in the top 5 without a win this season, so we definitely got to fix that account and get a couple wins here in the end and hopefully contend for a title with it. I know we're going to be behind in the bonus points department with only 3, but there's a lot of races left and a lot of opportunity to make up those points.
I mean, Jared, next week it is the start of the chase. It's New Hampshire. We look at the stats entering into this Chase, you are part of the top 4 drivers to watch out for when it comes to top 10 finishes and top 5 finishes. What does that momentum feel like for yourself? I know you don't have the win yet. We know that's looming and going to be there here anytime, really, for this season. But what confidence are you rolling into the chase with, knowing that you are one of the top 4 drivers based off of the stats?
I mean, it's a lot of confidence, obviously, because you got Jake. You know what he does on iRacing. He's really good. John's good. Brian's good. Vinny, they're all good there. Larry. So to be up there with those guys and competing with them for stats wise and on speed weekend we got is good. Like you said, I haven't got the win yet, which kind of makes it a little bit frustrating. But sometimes waiting for the wins comes at the right time. So hopefully we can tick off a couple of them at the right time and roll on to the championship, like I said. But I got a lot of confidence going into the playoffs.
Well, Jared, it was a fantastic run for yourself here tonight, coming away second. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, like shout out Jean Pierre, all my teammates on Lucky Ducks. Like we had a 1-2 there, almost got 1-3. I think Tom got fourth. We all had a pretty good race there. I'd like to shout out to the Stand Up to Cancer org on the car and No Kid Hungry. Shout out you guys for on the broadcast and everybody who runs the league.
Well, that'll be the 27 machine of Jared Thomas. Jared, congratulations on second. It also looks like you will take fourth in points after this race is over. So, congratulations on that, and good luck next week at the start of the chase.
Thank you.
As we move from second place, we head to third position where we bring in the 8 of Brian McCann, finishes third here tonight, and also will be third in points after this evening is over. Brian, 3 wide, coming to the end of this thing. What were you feeling as you were coming to the end of this race, knowing that you had a slim chance to try and take the win?
Yeah, it was a pretty good finish there. First half of the race was a little boring with the single file, everybody trying to save fuel. So I was glad we got to really race there at the end. And we took 2 tires on that last pit stop and came out in third, but I was a little let down being on that inside line because I knew that outside line was where you wanted to be at. But still 3 wide across the finish. That's a good day.
Yeah, Brian, that was a fantastic finish for you, finishing third, getting third in points also to finish the season out. I mean, it has been impressive watching you race this season, especially with the 1 win you've got as well. I mean, what kind of momentum do you have going into the playoffs, knowing Jake Nichols is going to be showing up every week and being the driver everyone's chasing?
Momentum, I'm not sure, but fun. I'm having a blast. And next week is New Hampshire, so that was one of my favorite tracks, and I think we're going to be pretty good there.
I mean, that was going to be my next question for you, Brian, is we're heading to a flat track. Last time we were at a flat track, that was an oval ish shape, was Indianapolis. You got the win there. I know it's a short track, flat track. What is the confidence that this is the first race of the chase and you can really set the tone early?
Yeah, as long as we don't make any mistakes or get in trouble or caught up in any wrecks, I feel pretty good at it. I've run many laps there. I've run this car there. So it's a fun track, and yeah, I'm confident.
Well, Brian, we're excited to see how you perform in this chase. I know you're going to be one of the top drivers going for this championship, and we can't wait to see how you run in these final 6 races. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to my family, you guys for doing the broadcast, the league admins for putting this show on, our sponsor, Cody Glenn Cox Music, and my teammates, Larry, Ron, and Chris, and everybody watching tonight. Thank you.
Well, that'll be the 8 machine of Brian McCann coming away third here tonight. What a run for himself and our top 3 at incredible races here at Talladega. As we're going to move from our interviews and move on over to looking at our unofficial results here tonight. Your biggest mover, forgot to tell him this, Jared Talmadge in the 27, up 13 spots from where he started back in 15th. He'll come away second, as your winner was John Forbes. And he said it during his interview, his second win of the season. And this now puts him second in the win category because the only other driver to have multiple wins this season was Jake Nichols. Everyone else that had one only has 1 win. And now going to be John Forbes right behind him. But for tonight's race, Jared Talmadge goes away second, Brian McCann third. Thank you for all 3 drivers for coming up for interviews. In fourth was Thomas Green. Larry Yingling will take 5th. 6th was Chris Stitz. Jake Nichols 7th. Gavin Rogers is going to be back in 8th place with Chuck Sweeting 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 10 machine, Jan Van Leer, and that 10 machine will be racing in the chase, taking that final spot here tonight.
Yeah, congratulations to Jan Van Leer, just being, persistent every week, able to sneak his way into the top 16, into the chase. But Cody Reed also, had some issues on pit road, was leading quite a bit of that race. A phenomenal finish for 11th, honestly, for him. Brian P. Johnson was in a must-win situation, unable to get that, along with Ben Keeney back in the 15th position. And a couple of drivers, Brian Noel, Ryan Kelly, a couple drivers that were just not able to finish this race due to the one incident for caution tonight.
Yeah, the wreck that made things dramatic there at the end. 7 times the WSSR Cup Series is ran here at Talladega, and that will be the 5th overtime finish that this track has offered, in another classic to be seen, as John Force will take the win in the closest finish of the season so far. Congratulations, that 7 machine, but what a regular season it's been. A changing of cars, changing of guards, and now we've got 6 races in front of us to figure out who will be the champion of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs for season 12. Richard, it's been an up and down regular season, but here we are, just 6 races in front of us.
Yeah, 6 races to decide who's going to be able to don the number 1 car machine or number next season. Will it be Jake Nichols in his dominating fashion, or will someone finally be able to play spoiler with John Forbes and Brian McCann nibbing at his heels there? So, but it's going to be a really interesting and fun final 6 races to this season. We'll have to see who can get it done and who's going to be the most consistent with it.
It certainly should be a really good one to watch, as we just saw there at the end of this race. Dramatic fashion, and you don't want to miss out on any of the other drama that could be lining up ahead of us. But for tonight, thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. I want to say thank you for myself, Sam Dyer, for my co-host with me, Richard Wolsifer, as well as our producer and owner in the background, Robert Moyer Jr., who pushes all the buttons to show us off and show all the racing action as well for you, the viewers. Thank you for those that watched us live, spending your Wednesday night with us. It was a pleasure to give you all the racing action here from Talladega. The regular season is done. The winner of the 12th race of the season goes to the 7 of John Forbes Jr. with a 3-wide finish and winning by 1/100th of a second over Jarrett Talmadge. It was a great way to finish out the regular season, but there's 6 races ahead of us. 16 drivers with an opportunity and a chance to be crowned a champion. Can't wait for it. That all begins next week. New Hampshire, the flat 1-mile course. You don't want to miss it. Who starts off on the right foot? Who might throw it all away? You'll find out next week for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.